Here we go. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the MFL Ramble, Metaverse Football League. We're back, we're bad, and we are joined by, as ever, my glorious, gorgeous, blue-eyed goddess, goddess or god, Scottish co-host, and that is Hoodwink. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Enjoying the sun.
Nice. Is it sunny? Yeah, it's sunny down here today, but it is a lot colder, isn't it? I had to put my shorts away now, finally. Feels like winter is coming, to quote a famous TV show. And we are joined by guests this week. Hopefully, we'll have no problems with internet connections. We'll have no problems with cameras. We'll have no problems with Wi-Fi because he's a pro, and that's Quinny. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. What an introduction. Thanks for having me on. Long time no see, and good to be on with you again. Hoodwink is always a pleasure.
It's been a while, hasn't it? I was trying to think, have you been on the MFL one? You've definitely been on the So Rare one, like many moons ago, but I don't know whether you have. I can't remember about this one. But you were the guy that essentially I'd looked at MFL in the past, like, and just hadn't got around to it. And then I remember one deadline stream you did an advert for MFL, and I thought, oh, that reminds me, I must go and have another look at it. And I went and looked at it, found out Hoodwink played it, and it literally just spiraled from there. And that's why the MFL Ramble even exists.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think so, but I do remember like our schedule's been really, or my schedule maybe, I don't know, being really tough to iron down. So I wouldn't be surprised if this maybe was my debut, but I think I've been on before. Is what I would say.
Yeah, I reckon you have as well. Yeah. Right, before we get into everything, a bit of housekeeping. We're trying to grow this channel, so we'd really appreciate a bit of liking and subscribing. I always forget to say that, so I thought I'd put that up first. I'll try and do it at the end, but I'm absolutely useless. And the pro for doing that is Quinny, who I love all the So Rare gods and all that sort of stuff. You know, you'll have shit luck if you don't like and subscribe, but forces people to do it. Otherwise, karma comes back to bite you, doesn't it?
Of course. Of course.
Second thing today, I am in a little bit of pain at the moment. My tummy has been kicking my arse. So if you see me grimacing, this week it won't be because people's internet connections are dropping out. It might be because my tummy is playing up. And also, finally, I apologise for the old homeless look. I really need to get a haircut. I haven't got it around to it yet. And hopefully next week you'll see still an old person, but hopefully I will not look homeless next week. But yeah, let's get into it then. So we've got a few people in the chat. We've got Big Mr. K14, an expert, was on a few weeks ago, and also the host of XP and Yorkshire Tea, or Yorkshire Tea and XP. Is that right?
Yorkshire Tea and XP sounds like it to me.
Sounds like it, yeah, which is excellent. I haven't listened to this one's episode. I'm going out for a walk this afternoon, and I will be listening to the latest episode. Looking forward to that. We've also got Billy Bremner, big Leeds license holder. Afternoon, fellas. Kev Hurd is in the chat. He's busy today working, and now he's banned from coming on when he's in hotels because internet connections in hotels just generally are shit. And this is a self-ban by himself, not me. I'm not banning him. We're not banning him. We would love him to come on all the time. But yeah, let's get into it. Hoodwink, how's everything going this week for you, mate?
Good overall. Yesterday was a bit crap, but good overall. Even Daegu were on a bit of a run. I think we were about 6 or 7 games undefeated before yesterday.
I know, because they were predicted second at the start of the season, weren't they? And then suddenly, you said they were going to go shit. They did go to shit, but now they've turned it around.
Aye, although yesterday was shit. It was one of the games. In fact, them and Edinburgh both had games where I was like, this is horrible. The Edinburgh was streamed as well on Jimbo's stream, and I was like, I'm sorry for that performance. It was abysmal.
I never ask for. I watch Jimbo streams loads, but I never ask for my match to go on there just because I feel like it's a curse. Like if everyone's watching, like they're going to perform badly. They're like, they need a little bit less pressure, a smaller crowd.
It's usually it's a good luck stream usually.
Really?
Aye. Often I've won when I've been like well up against it, and I've been put it on stream to get a bit of that extra Jimbo luck, and it's came in, but not yesterday. Maybe it's because Cal was missing. Could be that I lost yesterday.
It is a bit weird. I was listening to, I think I'm about halfway through Wendurk. I've got a feeling it's a long one because I was out for about an hour yesterday, and it doesn't look like I'm just halfway through yet on the latest Wendurk. But it threw me off a bit with like a Dutch voice on there again. But yeah, it was a really interesting episode anyway. So again, another piece of excellent content worth going to listen to. But or watch, of course. But yeah, so Daegu, I've got them up on the screen. They were languishing towards the bottom of the table, maybe even mid-season. But yeah, it looks like you've turned it around. So I've had a couple of wins and a draw since the break, and then obviously a bit of a loss yesterday.
But there could be a promotion push. They're probably the one that will struggle the most at my three teams. Just because of their inconsistency, I'm not that confident. But you never know. A third place could be in there. I think it's maybe 6 or 7 points behind. So it's no, and I'll score loads of goals with them.
Like, and the next 3 games you've got as well are Pigs to the Slaughter, Effigy Dreamers, and you've got Ibrahimovic United tonight. Although he's saying Stone in there, I like the fact that he's just confirmed what league he's in. Although I've got a feeling because they're bottom of the table, he's probably confirming because he's trying to sell it. But yeah, so you're playing like 3 of the worst teams in the league tonight. So over the next 3 days,
big opportunity.
Yeah.
Livy boys, they're aiming for, I think they're in 3rd place, but like 1st and 2nd are miles off. So really that's just aiming for 3rd place. And Edinburgh, I think there's maybe 4 of us like at the top, maybe like 4 points between us, something like that. So that's like really, really tight. Every game there is quite tough though. So it's hard to get a good run when there's so many good teams, but
I've got a bit of an issue with like my sort of lower teams. I've got 7 teams now, and I keep getting the lower team thinking, right, this team is going to be where I put my prospects, where I put the guys that, and then I slowly, as the season goes on, they either get like boosts and then they sort of challenge for promotion. I think my worst team at the moment is going to win the league, then maybe even win the cup. And it's like now next season, I won't have a place to put the rubbish again. So it's a really awkward spot. Maybe that's because they want me to keep buying teams. I don't know. But I know Led's doing a stream this afternoon talking about exactly that. But he's thinking of buying another couple of teams to put his junk in. Sorry, hot prospects.
In Quinny's Telegram chat, one of the lads mentioned there's a couple of clubs up for $35. Spark clubs.
Really?
$35. Like, if I had the Dapper, I probably would have bought one. I think it's Austria and Estonia or something like that. So not exactly the most exciting sort of countries, but
Estonia feels perfect, but for hiding those little guys that you want at the bottom of your agency, just send them to Estonia. Just forget about them,
No, they've been swiped off the market by the looks of it. The floor now is 47. But yeah, if I'd seen them at 35, I definitely would have gone in there and ripped one of them. But that's sort of a no-brainer.
Aye, I think if I had the Dapper, I would have gone for one of them. Just to put the shitters in and just instead of like try to get them out on 0%, actually make a bit of cash at them or a bit of MFL.
So what about your main team then? What about the big boys?
Edinburgh, they're doing pretty well.
They were obviously in silver last season and back in bronze.
Aye. So I think we were maybe predicted mid-table, if I remember right. And I was actually quite surprised because I thought they would have been higher up than that. But I think I'm 4th just now. But as I say, it's really, really tight. I think it's, a point or 2 of playoffs and maybe like 4 points for the top spot. Rory, who chatted in, is in the Ramble Discord. He was top for a bit, but he's part of the second half of the season engine change gang. So he's like been struggling the last few games. I think he's had a couple of draws. I wonder if he lost.
Which one is he?
What's his team name? Is it like the Irish team maybe?
I can't tell we're looking at them. Which ones are Irish? Got La Florida. I'm assuming that's not it. Phoenix Park Rangers.
Phoenix Park, aye. Phoenix Park Rangers. So what the team is they? So he was having a great season. Then I think he's had a couple of.
People always say that, don't they, about the engine changing? But the engine doesn't really change. Like nothing changes.
No, it doesn't. But but we like tinfoil hats, so.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that. But I love a bit of speculation and wild speculation. But I've got a couple more people in the chat now. Andy Harrogate, afternoon gents, first time watch. Nice to have you on board, Andy. Welcome. I've got Goat, that is Bob Flynn, aka Orange Fly. Had a big win. I don't know whether it was last night or the night before. I can't remember, against Sid in Derby. Really kept praying that you stay up. Yeah, they're really praying that you stay up, Bob. But do everything you can. I know you brought in a couple of guys at the mid-season as well. Billy Bremner, might be a stupid question, Monkey, but is this the same as the podcast, or is it a separate, different recording? No, it is exactly the same. But the way I do it, like the software that I use, means that this comes out, and then I have to wait 24 hours for YouTube to work all their shenanigans with the video before I can re-download it, and then sort of rip the audio and put it as live as an audio. And as people may have noticed, I often forget. I've got a attention span of a gnat. But yeah, so it'd be good to sort of I'll try and put a little note on my fridge now to remind me. So when I'm going to grab a glass of Diet Coke, it reminds me to go and do it. That's the idea anyway. But yeah. So Edinburgh, are they going to get promoted back up to silver? Do you want them to get promoted back up to silver?
I had so much fun in silver. Even though I finished bottom of the league, I put up a really good fight. And every game felt like every game feels like a challenge in bronze as well. Like every game you were coming up against just monster teams, like full Legos and stuff like that. And I love that kind of challenge, even though my expectation was going to finish bottom of the league. And I did. But I had a lot of fun. It's probably my most fun season, I think.
And obviously the highlight of the season so far is your goat, Alan Santos, or one of your goats, Alan Santos, finally becoming a legendary.
Aye. Well, he's not went up another one since.
No, he hasn't then, but I can't remember. I can't remember that was last week. It feels like it's a little while ago, but time flies.
I think it was probably last week. It couldn't have been too long. But it was nice to have one. Progression's been pretty good actually. I think I had 3 overall upgrades today for a few of my uncommons that are close to tier break. So overall progression's been nice.
For me, it's still been pretty thin. I've had lots of guys sort of tier break, but it hasn't been as sort of productive as the previous seasons. What about you, Quinny?
I've actually had my OG guy tier break into legendary this season, Hamadan Nasser, my mad striker. So
yeah, I've just putting up on the screen now. But
that happened last week.
Didn't you mint him at 84 as well, or was he?
Yes, and he was like 23, I think, and now he's like pushing 30. He's not quite there yet, but he's not far away from it. Loaned him out 1 year, and he's been the whole progression discussion in my kind of content in terms of like best kind of thing to do. Because I've also had another guy that was a right back that started at 77, 19-year-old, and this year I loaned him out 85 last year before Nasser did, and he's also played in the same team, so in the same situations and everything, and there've been 2 polar opposites.
I think the only thing we know for certain is that as long as they've been on a team, they're getting training XP, and as long as they play matches, they're getting match XP. Now, how much XP they need to level up is the big question, and that's what we don't know. But yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Like 77, he went Lego before like Nasser,
and 84. And they played together, so perfect. Like it's like a twin experiment, isn't it? Like you get 2 twins and you follow them from birth, and see like how they grow up if you do different stuff, whatever experiments go on. So yeah, that happened. That was a big one. And I've got a wee academy team that's in ICE trying to get up that way, and it's not really worked out so far.
Portland, is that where you got relatives in the US, haven't you?
Actually, very close. Yeah, relatives are in Seattle, so like on a map, it's really close. But by all accounts, from soccer anyway, Portland and Seattle is a bit of a rivalry in terms of cities, because they're close and they're big or whatever. So yeah, it's quite close actually, very close to where I've got family. And yeah, I packed that one. I think I did that when I packed that as a Spark Club to do like a beginner tutorial probably for or something like that. So pure RNG that it came out there, which was quite nice. Just for how close, like if it was just over the border in Washington State rather than Oregon, it would have been like pretty close to the mark. So that's pretty awesome.
And the other guy you've got in that team is Lecoq, and I remember him being one of your sort of early stars of the Quinny Empire as well.
Yeah, so last year, like, it was great listening to Hoodwink there saying how much fun he had in silver despite getting relegated. The highest division I've been in is bronze, and that was last year. And this is something I was wanting to ask you guys about in a way for how this season's went for me. But thinking about last year, after like 6 or 7 games, I was like second, and I was projected to be second bottom. And I was like, oh, here we go. Like, I am punching above my weight, and let's just roll with it. But then the second half of the season really just corrected it. It felt like I couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? It was just every game we were just losing, getting battered, or whatever. When everything was working well before, it all just kind of fell apart. And that became actually quite traumatic for me, to be honest with you. The Boiler Cock didn't play in that season, and the Ice team didn't get promoted. So I just decided to put him in there to try and boost the odds in my favour, and it's totally backfired because it's not worked out at all, despite him playing every week. But what I wanted to say to you on that is, like, it does feel like the seasons are a game of two halves, and in some ways, and I feel this with progression as well as the way the points come, where your guys score goals, because there's definitely for me like a level of the game that when the season starts, it kind of knows, like, based on your team averages, best 16, all the stuff we know that's factored in. Once it's locked in, you've got to think there's some game equation that happens at that point and says, okay, well, if they win games and they get their tactics right, this guy's going to go +2. This guy can get 15 goals, something like that. And maybe like the way the game delivers it isn't always like nice and evenly random the way football is, but it's like, okay, well, you're going to lose 4 games this season, so you're going to lose these 4, and you don't know where they're going to be, but they're going to come. And maybe other little patterns like that. Progression's a good example of that. It feels like it comes in spurts. Maybe it's a little bit of just the way the game spits out. How do you feel about like the season of two halves? So in just that way.
I guess my theory on it is that, like, the first half of the season, like a lot of people, I guess probably 80-90% of managers go in relatively cold. They may have run a friendly or two, they may have done a friendly tournament, and they might have done quite well with a certain formation. But as the season progresses, more and more managers crack the engine. What works? What do you need to do to stop goals? And what do you need to do to score goals? And that's why we see sort of like this difference between the first half of the season and the second half. The first half, I think more tactics can work because less people have worked out how to stop like through balls this season. And as the season progresses, more people work out how to do that. And so if your tactic is only average, then it's less likely to work and you're more likely to lose games second half of the season. So generally, I often find that I do awfully first half of the season and that I slowly improve as the season goes on. And this season, I think I've sort of not cracked it because I don't think there is a perfect formation and a perfect system in this, especially as you're playing different formations. But I think I found a way that is the most consistent for the players and the teams that I have. Now, it's not to say it will work for everybody, but it works for me, and my results have basically improved across every single team second half of the season. I got through to, I had five of my 7 teams got through the groups in the cup, and I've got 4 of them through to the semis, which honestly for me is an absolute record. Like, I think I've got 1 through to the semis before. That is the absolute max. But so my theory is that it's more down to people getting better during the season than it is sort of like if you run similar tactics all season, your second half of your season will be worse just because people have worked out what is the better way to play. And so you gradually will start to lose more games. So I think it's important that you sort of adapt as the season goes on, trying to work out how are you conceding goals and what's the best way to stop those goals. Like for me, at the first half of the season, I was conceding an absurd amount of through ball goals, and I'm sure that's the same for most people. So I've just found a way to alleviate that, but still score goals, because scoring goals is fun, isn't it? I know Hoodwink likes sort of the 1-0 wins and just grinding out the wins, but for me, I want to score goals. That's fun. But what about you, Hoodwink?
I kind of agree with you there, because a lot of the times when you see people saying like the second half of the season has gone to shit, the first half was perfect. If I've had like a perfect start to the season in the first half on top of the league, I'm probably not changing much. I'm going to stick with what's working for me, because I wouldn't really be tweaking too much to just in case I screw it up. So I think that could be it, because with Daegu, for example, they had a good example of a game of two half seasons, or whatever the wording was, because they were awful. And I did switch up my tactics. Like, if I just left them, they'd still be awful. It wouldn't be like a game of two halves. It would just be their crap. So that made me spend a bit of time and try and kind of use my tactical knowledge to improve them and see what's working in the engine. That's, to be fair, I used similar in all three teams. So what was working with Edinburgh wasn't working with Daegu, with very similar tactics. So I adjusted to try and kind of try and figure out where it was going wrong, what I needed to kind of work on, and then my results have improved because of that in the second half of the season. So something like that does kind of make sense, I think, because people didn't just like, if you're playing shit and you just leave it, you're going to continue to play shit. If you're playing well and you just leave it, other people that have improved are going to improve their results, while you kind of stay where you are at your level. And if you're not improving, you're kind of standing still. So,
what do you think, Quinny?
About what bit?
Well,
like
that's sort of the theory that people just get better as the season goes on, or
sure.
you need to adapt as the season goes on.
I don't know. I definitely think that happens. Don't get me wrong, but I play a lot of teams that are quite set and forget, and so, especially, I don't know. I just feel there's a little bit of, like, the game can kind of kick in a little bit, I think, in some regard, whether you've maybe, I don't know, overachieved in the first half or underperformed in the first half. There's like a natural little bit there of, like, I don't know. It's hard to put into words, I suppose. I do believe, like, definitely the input of opponents will be something that takes part, but depends on who's in your league as well. Because, like I say, I've came across a few teams that you just look at their matches, same formation all the time, and you see where they rotate and maybe change formation for 2 matches and come back to it. So I definitely think that, I think you're right. It does play a part, but I think there's, I do think there's a part of it that's kind of like high level workings of the game, that's like already kind of forecasting, like I say, progression and other elements that will kind of play into it. And I think, like, match XP is kind of like the most important part. It's kind of what I'm kind of getting to, I suppose, with this, where if you play and you win, you're going to get maximum potential out of what could be possible this season in terms of progression, points, goals, that sort of thing, down to the tactics and the decisions, that sort of thing, I suppose. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like on the table for you. And if you're making bad decisions because the players have got good stats or whatever, maybe the game kind of, like, so maybe there's a little bit of correction there sometimes if you've, like, really thrown it away in one part of the season, or it just knows, right, okay, well, you've been winning the first 8 games, you probably should lose 3 games this year, and then here they go, boom, boom, boom. 2 of them are bottom of the table, and one of them is mid-table, and you're like, how the hell did that happen? Why am I losing these games of all? The bottom relegated team even rotated their goalkeeper or some nonsense, and you couldn't score.
That's the game that you lose when you have 20 shots to win and you lose 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, so I do think there's a little bit of that in it. I was just wondering, I suppose, when I brought it up, just like what your POVs were on how that does pan out, or if you can catch a sniff of it, perhaps. Like, is this team underperforming, or is it, like, bad, or is it overperforming, or is it good, and trying to get that gauge on it, because we've all, I think, got, like, a season that's very different in 2 halves. We've all had one, if it's not this year. Which it feels like it is for a lot of people this year. It's been set up that way, I think.
Weirdly, my seasons are like the polar opposite. People normally say, "Oh, I have a really good start to the season, and the second half's awful." Historically, pretty much for all my clubs, like, the first half is bad, and the second half is where I actually come through. Like, I think last season in Monkey Magic, we're in the relegation zone in bronze at the midway break, and I won the league. And, like, this season, I was in the relegation zone, and things have improved. But yeah, so I'm bucking the trend and going the opposite direction. But yeah, I think that, and also, as you just said, there's definitely some RNG in there. Like, football is, you can have the best team. Barcelona could play, I don't know, like a League Two side in the UK, and they'd beat them probably 1,000 times. Oh, sorry, 999 times, but just once they might lose it, and that would be a massive shock. And that's football. That's why we like watching it, because if the best team won every single game, then it would get boring as fuck pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But so how about your teams then? So obviously you've got. I looked at the academy side. You've got the FC Barcelona, and then you have your community side.
Yep.
So let's talk about Barcelona then. Like, do you think? I mean, where were they predicted at the start of the season?
The main team was projected to be up at the top of the table, I think, second or third. And yeah, kind of up in amongst it with friend of the channel, friend of the community, of course, Dodge Sports, which will be a fun one. I was a bit nervous about, well, I don't know if I was nervous about this season, but it was such a bummer getting relegated last year. It worked so hard to get into bronze, and then with how well the season started, I was just so kind of bummed about it. So after like playing some games, getting some wins and some goals again, it's been kind of on the up and up, and it's like, right, let's yo-yo, let's go right back up there, but it's been good fun with the main team. And I'm through to a cup semi-final for the first time ever, so I'm hyped for that. That game's tomorrow, I think, so I'll be watching that live on the channel for anyone who wants to tune in for it.
Oh, nice. Good luck. Yeah, no, I've watched one of your streams. I can't remember. I think it was the other night. I can't remember. It wasn't live, so I don't know when it was. But I loved how you sort of like think about the players. It's like, his physical is like, he should be doing better with that. He shouldn't be like brushed off the ball, and really sort of like thinking of the game as if you're watching a real football match rather than sort of like looking at stuff like that. But yeah, it's really fun to listen to.
I'm glad you think so. Yeah. I can't help it, to be honest with you. It's funny because like when I used to play Football Manager like a lot more as a kid, like I've kind of said before in content, like I'd be like really immersive with it. Like I could just lose a day on it. Like, I'm sure anyone else that played it as well knows what I'm talking about. That clocks just move like that when you're playing it. Before you know it, it's like, wow, what's happened. So again, when I'm really tapped into this, like I'm very much like, especially with the photorealistic pictures now as well. It's dead easy to just like play the game and just like lose yourself in it for a wee bit, especially when the matches are coming on, because you're really, I don't know about you guys, last season I was very bad at it. It's probably my worst year ever for it. Prep and tactics a few games ahead, but especially when I'm getting a wee zone like that, I'm double checking and triple checking, like, who am I playing that game, and and all that kind of thing. So whenever I am playing them and I'm watching them in a match, I'm acutely aware of why they've got game time for me, if you know what I mean, because I've spent that amount of time really digging through some of the preps. I only run 3 squads, so I think that's quite probably kind of close to my maximum of having that amount of attention for. I think I'd find it a bit harder with a 4th or a 5th team, really like knowing the squad as well as I can, or do, or try to, sort of thing. So when I'm watching the game, let's say, I'm just very acutely aware of, I've picked you because you've got extra good passing. Why the hell have you gave the ball away there? Like, you did he, or the physical or the pace or whatever it might be. So, and thanks very much. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I can't help myself.
That was on Monday. That's when you done the commentators jinx. Like, I think it was your academy team.
Oh yeah, you were 2-0 up. That was it. Yeah.
Lose it within a second. A minute, 4-2.
Yeah.
Just
it was a bad night.
Sorry, listeners, if you're listening to the pod afterwards, I'm being an absolute buffoon today and keep knocking over my vape mod, which is the bang you can hear every few minutes. But yeah, no, that was brilliant. That literally was a commentator's curse, wasn't it? Like 2-0 up, like started talking about the defense. Oh, these guys, they're solid, not going to concede at all tonight, playing brilliantly, and then literally before you know it, you were 3-2 down.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about it in that context. So again, really appreciate you saying that, and it's nice to hear. But yeah, like it's just about, I say, that's the thing that's always had me with MFL, is like the immersion you can get with it in that way as well. So it's really good that comes across in the content. That makes me so happy. But yeah, that was like, I think we called that Black Sunday or Black Monday, whatever day that was, because all my teams got absolutely smashed, and it couldn't have went any worse for me.
And what about the foundation team then? So this is, essentially like the MFL Ramble team that we've got, and Lairds Patron Saints, so community, like people in your sort of like community, like send players in and like have a bit of like, you know, juice in the team and stuff like that. So how's that gone?
Yeah, it's been. I think this is my third or fourth season with. I think it's the third, and every year, I'm not gonna lie, see at stages of it, I'm like, oh, am I really going to get this batch of guys together to make a team and make it actually do all right? And I'm kind of seeing the players coming. I'm like, okay, well, this one might work and that one might be something. And every season we've done it, it's been so much fun. And you know, it's like it's really good for me in that sense because it's just like a random pick and mix of players every year, like totally all shapes and sizes, ages, profiles, you name it. And you need to be quite flexible with tactics. And that team becomes a bit more like kind of half set and forget because it's so restricted with who are the good players, what positions they play, you know, when you want them fresh and available for, when you get the chance to rotate. So you just need to make really quite cold decisions in that sense with the squad. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's actually been like so good for players' progression. So what I did with this one is I bought it in stone. I'm sure it's in because it was just like at a really good price point. I can't remember what it was, but say the floor was like 80 quid or something like that. We got it at 75 or something. I can't remember, but we got it at a good spot. And the idea with that is obviously to try and give more MFL as you guys do as well, of course, with the community aspect of it to all the players that get loaned in. And because it's at stone and the variety of players that we tend to have with it, it seems to be like the perfect little mixture of like progression for a bunch of guys. Like the first season, like Doge Sports gave me like 4 players, and like I think 3 of them got like +3, +4. They were brilliant. And like every year, there's always somebody that just runs away.
It's utter pain, is it? I'm just looking at the team now, and Rico Man, you know,
Yeah.
lent you a guy. I'm not going to Gilge.
I say Gilge.
Gilge. Yeah, and Gilge obviously is retiring in a couple of seasons. Utter pain when that comes up. And so, like, it happens so often. You get the retirement icon come up, and then the player has like an absolute belting season. But going +4, you know, he's going unique before, you know, before the end of his career. Hopefully, a couple of seasons before the end of his career. Not unique. Talking about legendary.
Legendary.
Wrong game.
He's a really interesting player, by the way, right? So if you go and look at him, he's on the Barcelona Foundation team. He's Norwegian. You can't miss him. He's had +4 this year, like you say. He's had +7 in defense, and some exceptional +90s are getting +1s on them or whatever, right? But he's multi-positional, left back, left mid, CDM. And because of this quirky team and how it has to work, he's played a lot in CDM. He's getting 97 pace, and he's on left back. So he's got like good defense, 91 physical. And see it, centre defensive. Rico Man's never played him there. He's always played him left back, which, you know, fair enough, is his best position. He's had great progression out. If you look at the guy's whole progression chart, it's wild. It's not just this season. But it kind of feels like Rico Man didn't expect this, like +4 to come out this year. You know, it felt like he kind of plateaued. He'd had all this amazing progression, but maybe there's been a little bit of CDM potential that's just been on the shelf there, and he's just never really had the minutes there. And I've just played him there every game.
Crazy. I'm just looking on MFL player info, and like as you said, he's 83 as a left back, 81 as a CDM, 81 as a left mid, 78 as a left wing back if needed, 75 still as a right wing back. That's crazy. I've never seen so many like positions that a single player can play at a decent standard.
And yeah, so if you look at his overall, I've just pulled it up because you went to pull the screen. It started as a 55 or something like that. And so he's been a wild success story. He's you love seeing that. I've had a few wonder kids, like younger guys that came in as well, and all the rest of it. But Gale's just been an absolute hero this year, +4 out of nowhere. And honestly, like he's a guy that see in defensive midfield, see with that pace, like he just runs through the pitch. Sometimes it's just crazy, and he's a great stats as it says, like strong dribbles and all that stuff. So
he'd probably be a decent left winger as well. I mean, if obviously he can't play there, but with those stats, you would expect him to be a decent left winger. But yeah, that's crazy. And you've had another guy in the team as well, Pascal from Mr. Wobbles. He's gone +3 this season. Oh, it looks like he's a bit of a nice. Another guy that's looking like he's on a decent progression curve. I know where to send my progression players now.
Yeah, so that community team, it's got some sort of weird magic about it because it's just So, like, again, you can look. There's also guys in this team that are rated 41 and 57. So, like, it's really the length and breadth of the community that can get a guy into the team gets a guy in as much as we can. And yeah, so it's just that's been a lot of fun. Whereas, like, with your prime team or my main team, like I mentioned, last season was so negative, just like failing and getting relegated was such a kick in the balls. And that other
Yeah, like my
academy
two
team is
main
not really
teams.
clicked.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been
My
fun.
two main teams are the ones that I really care about, and often it's the lower teams that do well, and it's the top teams. Like this season, I knew it was going to be tough, but yeah, it's so fun having those sort of community teams. I know Kev looks after ours at the moment, and I know he's sort of like they're doing really well again this season as well. But I think at the start of the season we said we didn't want them to get promoted because it was getting tougher to get to like when you get to Iron, it gets tougher for people to get loans in to make them a decent team. And I think he's doing well. I think he's through to the cup semi-final as well. But yeah,
nice.
What would be like the best? How if the season ended tomorrow, where would you want to be? Obviously, you'd want to win every league, but like realistically, from where you are now,
I would like all my teams to be in playoffs minimum. Like the academy team, it's a huge stretch, but if you look at the league for that, it's crazy tight, except for the relegation zone. Like the relegation zone is like dead. I'm the place above relegation, right? And I'm 8 points ahead of them. But then from me to third is 7 points. Me to fifth is 5 points. It's just super tight. I've been drawn like every game. It's been wild. So I think like if I start like going a winning run, I'm getting a bit of inspiration from Monkey Magic here, going from 0 to hero in the course of a season. I can maybe scrap my way into third. The main team looks like it should be in amongst second and third for the most part, and the foundation team is also like in the conversation for second and third. It's very, very tight. 4 teams on 25 points, and then 2 teams right behind us on 23, all the way down to 7th are in the mix. So that could really go anyway. But if I could ask for one thing this year, I want to win the cup. With that, I'm in a semi-final. I want to go to the final. I want to bring. If I could get one thing right now, guaranteed, give me a cup win.
Yeah, I love the extra MFL as well because the league, like looking at Barcelona, and they are on 33 points, as you said. Like the next team's on 25 points. So there's already a decent gap there. So, which is great for the cup because it means you can rotate a bit in the league. Confident you can get in there. Hopefully, you can get into second because that makes the playoff run a little bit easier. But yeah, when's the big game against Doge Sports?
Last game of the season.
Oh. Now then, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, that will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Especially if you've got a cup final the day before.
Oh yeah, that'll be epic.
Nice.
I've been doing a lot more match streams last season. I was quite bad for it. I just think I was quite bad with my own schedule and got a lot of stuff going on like off the camera. I just don't really talk about too much or whatever, but just with houses and crap like that. But this year it's been a lot. I don't know if it's just been easier just to get the playing schedule on because I do like to watch the games with everyone in the community that wants to do it live with me or whatever. It's good fun, playing the game anyway, obviously, and I kind of charge on at my own discretion for the most part. But I've had a lot more fun this year making sure like, oh, that's a big match. I'll watch that with everyone or try and get live for this one and make it happen. So the cup run's also been nice to follow along with that as well as having those 3 clubs is like no one really cares about the academy team, but the main team, if I've got like a fun game on and it's on a nice night like Friday or Monday or something, it can be a fun watch. And the foundation team is Hoodwink knows because Hoodwink just gave me the CDM partner that Giles has always wanted and never known he needed in his life. And another guy's about to retire, so they're both like holding hands going into the sunset together here in the engine room. Is the Barcelona, like that foundation squad, like when it's got a big game, it's a good buzz as well. And those players that get loaned in become little characters on the stream in their own right as well. We've got a guy in there, Van der Zee, that we've had for like 2 seasons, and he started off as like a 67 right mid, but he's always had like +3 at cam or +4 at cam, and now he's kind of leveled up. He's like a 74 cam or something, which is fun. And we also had another player this year who's running for the Golden Boot, who's like a good, well-rated striker, but the guy that's loaned me in like never had him working. Like just he played him and it just never worked or whatever. So it's quite nice that I just stumbled upon some tactics that might work for that guy. And
was that Badir?
No, Jaimez. The guy Badir, but as a player, by the way, he is like a tank. I remember, see, one of my very first like coaching things in IRL was I was like, it's a team called Crown Point. If anyone's around the Glasgow area, they might appreciate this story for how obscure it is. But they're like it's an amateur team, right? Play Saturday, Sunday, which is like quite hardcore for like amateur football because like the at top end Saturday and Sunday amateur league is like quite heavy going in Glasgow, like good level, good quality players and all that for what it is, etc. But the manager was like he's a nice guy. No, I'm not going to go into details and name names and whatever, right? But good guys and all the rest of it, and all the players were good. And it was like it's in Crown Point, it's in East End of Glasgow, right next to Celtic Park. So it was like it's just a club. I'm trying to just paint the picture a little bit, right? But there was this guy that played, and I can't remember his name for the love nor money, right? But the story was with him, like he played for Blackburn when he was like 15, 16, had a bad injury, and he does some normal job now or whatever, but he still plays amateur. And this guy, I'm not joking you, right? See, before a match, he would put like a full roll of like duct tape around each ankle. And like his ankles were like genuinely biscuits, you know what I mean? Absolute crumbs. But honestly, I've never seen so much tape go on somebody in my life, both ankles. And this guy had a belly the size of like Hoodwink as a person. Like, bit of an exaggeration, right? But absolutely massive, like body, belly, right? Biscuits for ankles. But see, when this guy had the ball at his feet, his techers were amazing. He could spray a pass. He could shoot from anywhere on the pitch. Was really like smart football wise. Really had a good brain for it and all that. And just kind of did what he wanted. And number 10 would go back and tackle and all the rest of it. But could rarely finish. Maybe he could finish matches. Maybe I'm not remembering that perfectly right. I'm just saying something there. But see that guy, but he couldn't run, right? Couldn't run, but could do everything else like for the level, 10 out of 10. And that guy Badir, I know it's a little dot on a screen, but see when he's running about, that's who comes into my mind is that player with all the tape around his ankles and all that. See that Badir just drops into pockets and is just like bouncing off people and spraying a ball down the channel for somebody else. And he's meant to be
because
up
his
front.
immediate stats are, I mean, they're not amazing, are they? But he looked great when he was playing the other night.
Yeah, he was just bodying people and he was just going about the place. And like I say, like there's a little dot on a screen, but that's the kind of image I've got of that guy in my head now when I'm watching him. Because yeah, he's a good guy, that Badir.
Nice. What about? I'll quickly go through my teams before we move on to some other stuff. Then, so I'm only going to really talk about sort of the main team. So Monkey Magic were the second bottom or whatever, and we've strung together like since the mid-season break. We had one loss, which we had a red card in, but as you can see, things are going better. We had 2 big wins in the cup. Like yesterday, I think I scored across my 4 teams like 18 goals and didn't concede 1 in the cup. It was just bonkers. It was like the dream day. I'm sure everything will go to shit in the semis, but I'm in rarefied air for the big team anyway. So yeah, it's going to be fun going through there, but I need to stay up. I don't want to. I got really same as you, Quinny. I got promoted, and same as you, Hoodwink, as well. I got promoted to silver. You obviously went into bronze, and then got relegated immediately, which is painful. When you get up there after fighting to get up there for so long, getting relegated again was painful. But I did bounce back straight back in silver, and I do not want to go straight back down again. So I've hopefully got tactics that work now, or at least are a lot more consistent. And we'll see how it goes with them. But yeah, I'd love to win the cup with them. You get some like ridiculous amount of MFL as well. I think it's 97,000 MFL to the winner. Oh, that'd be sweet.
I'm in a funny position right now where I've got a lot of guys. I bought a lot of guys in prime age with Disney dollars. So however many seasons ago that was, 4 or 5 maybe. And a lot of them, I've only got like 1 or 2 retirement notices. But I'm like, you're talking about MFL and getting player packs and stuff like that is kind of the consequence of that. I'm really in desperate need of like getting some new blood into the mix. You know what I mean? Guys that can come into the first team without much fuss or much hassle.
Well, exactly the same. I think I don't normally loan players in, but this season I've had to loan in 1, 2, 3, 4 players, 5 players, which is the first time I've loaned more than 1 or 2 players. So, but yeah, it's definitely helped. And like one of the guys, Dio, loaned me Watkins. He is +3 this season, now up to 88 as a right winger, and he has been an absolute god. Honestly, like the amount of like passes and stuff like that, some of the crazy shit he does is brilliant. But yeah, he's been brilliant. But yeah, like at the moment, like as you can see, my goalkeeper retires this season, 87 rated. That's going to hurt. I've got another guy that's like getting close to retirement and just gone to legendary, as they typically do. So yeah, I do generally buy a few older players as well, just because they're cheaper and my budget isn't big. So yeah, I do need to like get a few rares and then just pray that a couple of them are like either progression beasts or a sort of 84 to kick it off. But yeah, I really need those decent players the next season.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the hard parts of the game is the progression, no progression part, like future planning, because we were talking about a few weeks ago about strikers being bloody scarce, like good strikers to try and get a hold of. And for me, that's a problem. But with packs, when Quinny mentioned packs there, at the end of last season, when I got, what did I get, like 5 uncommon packs or something like that? And actually, they're pretty good. Like, but my really good ones are like CMs that have got good progression. One of them went to a rare already, and then one of them's had a +3 that's on Laird's team. I didn't play CM, so I might look into that. But like at the end of this season, if I get enough MFL, like maybe the decision should have been take a punt on a rare rather than like 5 uncommons, because a rare would actually improve. Well, I could still get a 75 rated 5'2" goalie, but hoping that you might get like a 80 rated striker or something like that that's going to go straight into your team rather than right. I need him to progress for the next 3 or 4 seasons before he gets a looking at my main team. I think that's quite a fun kind of part of the strategy of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to go for 4 rares this season, and I'm just praying that at least 2 of them are sort of usable. Probably not in Monkey Magic if they stay up in silver immediately, but at least I can put them in the second team because there's quite a big drop off. Monkey Magic are like my main team, and then Funky Monkey are sort of the best of the rest, and they're bouncing between sort of iron and bronze at the moment, and like they're a little way off in that. They got knocked out of the cup in the they got through the group but then got knocked out. So can just concentrate in the league now. Got a tough game tonight, and then we've got a bit of an slightly easier run after that. So I'm hoping I can string some games together and stay up there because I'd really like them to stay up as well. If they both stay up and I win a cup or 2, I'll be absolutely, over the moon with the season. But yeah, like I guess especially at this point of the season, I've already started sort of like I've loaded the wallet up. I've started looking at the market, looking for some bargains and stuff like that, players in my price range, but because I need them at the top end, and that's, they get expensive at the top end. But Monkey Thunder look like they're pretty safe, and I'll just be happy if they stay in the league. Monkey Fire, again, they're top. I don't really want them to get promoted, but I think Black Mamba is, it's Bruce. Bruce obviously is one of the hosts of Yorkshire Tea and XP. So drew 0-0 with him last time, but he lost a game before that. And I think he's got a slightly better team than me as well in terms of like strong 80 rated players. But so maybe he can still come back. I don't really want them to get them promoted. Otherwise I'm just going to have another season of getting relegated again. The Kings, second at the moment, still could get promoted again. I'd really rather some of these teams stay down. The Vikings are focusing on the cup, so if we can get a bit of playoff love, that'd be fine. But I definitely don't want them to get promoted. And then the Matadors, my lowest team, where I put all my rubbish, 14-1, won every game in the cup through to the semi-finals. It's like, for fuck's sake. So now I've got exactly the same situation as Led's got, where he's thinking about buying another couple of clubs to sort of house the sort of junk that he has within his potential stars. Because I've got loads of players that are just hard to place. I think down to sort of limited players, people want them. But when you get below that, sometimes I've got players that will be coming out of the dev center, and it's just sort of tough finding places for those guys to go, and I absolutely hate having them sort of I like to have every team under contract somewhere. So I don't think I've got any. I've got no players that are not under contract somewhere this season, just because I want them getting XP, even if they're not going to play a game. But what about you, Quinny? You've got a decent sized agency as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've so I'm trying to kind of like play the game like myself, kind of a little bit as if I wasn't on camera as well, if you get me. So like I do play the game the way I want to, but in terms of like the agency and all the rest of it, like I do try and keep myself in the space of like, imagine the camera wasn't on. Like, how many clubs would I actually play? How many players would I want? How would I actually kind of work this rather than just endlessly more kind of thing? So the way I've kind of got to with my agency is I'm hoping like once I'm not using people for that academy team, I'm just like dropping them out on loan or selling them. So I just make them available for both. So I didn't actually have that many out on loan. I actually ended up with a few free agents, actually, probably even still, if I go and check them quickly.
Do you move players on then? Like if you pack a guy and you just don't think you'll need him, do you move him on?
Well, it depends because like it depends on the. So the only packs I get are like the blue. I think this year I got two. Did I get one blue and two greens or something? So I don't really end up with too many like super low rated players out the packs. So they kind of have a use in one of the teams most likely, and if not, then yeah, I'll just list them and see what happens. And maybe they go on loan, maybe they get bought or whatever.
Nice. What about you, Wink? Do you sort of like, do you have any issues like finding houses for players, or do you have certain players that are sort of still free agents now and you just don't know what to do with?
I don't think I've had a free agent since I started the game. Everyone's always got a contract. How easy is it? Like for good players, it's easy.
Oh, they just fly off the shelves, don't they? Like,
even for limited, to be fair, I've got quite a few managers that I give like 4 or 5 players in a bundle, and sometimes it's the same players every season. Like Gertie's always got, he's like, as soon as the transfer and window for pre-contracts opens, I'll go into my mailbox and Gertie's sent me like 4 or 5 for the same guys that he's had probably since like season 1. And they've just they've improved, but they've not improved like enough for me to really want to use them. And he's like using them every season. They're playing games and stuff like that. And same with some limiteds, like quite a few of my limiteds are like the wee cheat code ones where like left and right mids that are maybe plus 6 and 7 as wingers, and I didn't play wingers, so I'm happy for them to kind of use them, helps them in the cup and that kind of thing, progresses them. It's the ones that are like you're 5'8", 46 rated centre backs and stuff like that. You're just like, I get on quite early and I'll put them all, I'll list them all like as soon as I can after rollover day. And then, as a few days go by, some of them I'm like, they're not going to sell. Like, got a 39 rated guy and stuff like that. I just stick them on 0% auto and hope. I'll start with like 0% auto, but like 10 games or something like that, or 5 games with a couple of percent. And if there's still no shifting, it's just 0%. Get them at the door, get them on a contract. And that's the main thing. For my better guys, it's a lot more thought put into it. But I never have anyone left. And if I do, it's just dev jail for 4 years. If they're that bad that they're not getting picked up for 0%, they can just go into dev jail.
You've just reminded me, I've just set availability to all of my players to no offers. I think it's tomorrow, isn't it? Is it Thursday, isn't it, that pre-contract start? Yeah, I think it'll be tomorrow. I'm sure I saw a tweet about that, but yeah. But yeah, so season's going well. So obviously we've had some developments in MFL over the last sort of couple of weeks. Can't bring them up now. They were on all of the games for a while, but they turned them off. But heat maps appeared. I'm sure people have seen them, because if you play like friendlies at the moment, then you can see them, and then you click in here and it shows you the heat maps for the players. And like, I really enjoy, because I'm a bit of a heat map person. Like, I live on SofaScore at the weekends, looking at heat maps of players. It's like, okay, it says he's playing here. Is he playing there? Why isn't he delivering this kind of so rare score that I think he should be delivering? And so hopefully I can mirror that across and look at my players and think, okay, why is, he's in the right position. I've got the tactics set right. Why is he not scoring? Or is he not getting in the box enough? Or what's happening? Do you think that heat maps is something that you'll use, Quinny?
But yeah, for live streams and stuff, that would definitely be good crack. The stats are nice to have. The heat maps, it's next level fun. I think that's a nice little bit of, it's one of these. It's a quality of life add-on, isn't it? It's not really going to change the game in any kind of way, but it's just, I say, it just makes the whole match engine, the whole match experience better.
I'm just looking to see whether you can, like, reports is something that a lot of managers don't use, but often I'll go in there and have a look at, see, how my players did. I know Hoodwink, you look at them, don't you, for like crosses and stuff like that. It's like, how well did they do when they were crossing the ball? And like, as you can see from here, like crosses aren't particularly great for most players. But like this season, I know there's been a lot of talk about crosses being sort of slightly more OP. And I think from a visual point of view in the game, they work better, as in, like, you'll see more crosses and goals from crosses. But when you dive into the stats after the game, as Hoodwink mentioned, I think last week's show, actually the reality is that they're not that successful still. And I see so many managers have crossing turned to high, and I just think you're wasting chances. Hoodwink, what do you think?
For the heat maps, it's when I seen the update, I thought, all right, that's cool. And I thought,
that didn't sound very positive. All right.
No, I just thought, that's a cool kind of thing, right? But actually, like, now that I've played it, I love it. Like, because for example, I played a game earlier with my Edinburgh team, and I've got a guy called my right back called Joe Robson, who's like, I think he's like, what is he, 73 rated, and he's got, his stats are like 79 passing, 66 shooting, better than half my strikers, like 75 dribbling, 93 defence. So like the main thing for him is defend at right back, but also I want him up, obviously attacking, with good passing and decent shooting, that kind of thing, just creating. And when I looked at the heat map, because I think I've got him on balanced. He's not like too attacking, but he's not too defensive. But on the heat map, he's just looks really defensive. Like he's stuck at right back in possession.
Which one is this?
Robson, aye. So I want him a lot more attack. My left back, my left mid is like one of my best players. So my left back's all right. He can just kind of stay there. But I want my right mid, my right back to be him specifically. I want him to be more attacking. So looking at the heat map means I'm probably going to fiddle with my tactics and see how I can get him creating more.
Yeah, it looks like most of your players didn't get out of there half much.
And I suppose that's how I play sometimes. But Big Joe, I want him marauding up the right wing.
Yeah, I haven't played around with it yet. Generally, I don't do friendlies until they sort of get more, the engine that's closest to one they're going to use next season. But yeah, definitely it's going to be interesting looking at them. Like, have you? You'd be interested if you tried doing a friendly now, and like you had him on like more attacking rather than sort of balanced or whatever, and just see, does he move up the pitch further? I think that sort of stuff will make it quite interesting going forward.
Aye. Does he move up the pitch further and I still keep the clean sheet? Like, I want to just make sure I'm secure, but I need him going up a bit more. And I think my right mid, Becker, I think he's got like, what's he, like 80 odd defending or something like that. So he's like a really secure guy. 83 defense, 77 physical. So my right mid, he can do everything pretty much. So if Robson is attacking, then at least I've got my right mid that's kind of defensive minded as well, that can protect that. So I think that's a good thing that I'll probably have fun playing with. Whereas my initial reaction, as I said, was, oh, that's pretty cool, like nice visual thing. But actually, for tactics, I think it's like a really kind of next level thing to play with.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. Just looking at your striker, it looks like you play a one up top, don't you? And it looks like he's Chadinelli, sorry, yeah. It looks like he's playing more on the left.
Aye.
Oh no, you got two strikers. Sorry, apologies. I thought you had one striker. That why the hell is he just on that side? But yeah.
He links up well with Norgren on the left, so he does. He is on the left a lot, I think.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I think heat maps are definitely a step forward. I love heat maps, but it'd be quite interesting to see sort of like where it goes. But we've got a couple of other people in chat. We've got Sid, who's back. Sid, who, let's have a quick look at the Diamond League. Let's get it up. Who's Bob? There we go. He'll do. Bob obviously was in the chat earlier. Let's have a look at the Diamond League. So yeah, Los Galacticos is a team owned by Sid. Soul's Iron Pigs is Orange Fly's team. Bob had a win against Los Galacticos in a big match, and then Meta Mercenaries. And there's one thing I wanted to say about Meta Mercenaries here. Now, obviously a lot of shade gets thrown at Ronan. Like he historically, he's had the best players. He goes out, puts the best teams together, and people just expect him to win the league. Now, he has an okay side, like one of the best sides in the league, and you would expect him to win the league, and he still might do. Obviously, his form has turned around as the season has gone on. One of the things I noticed pre-season was he played, and I don't know how many it was eventually, I counted 78 friendlies against Sid and Bob specifically during the mid-season break. I just thought that was incredible dedication, trying to sort of tweak his tactics, find out what's going wrong, because he was in the relegation zone at the midway point. And as you can see, since the mid-season, his record is a hell of a lot better. Like he's been winning games. Obviously, beat Bob in the cup, beat Bob last night, beat Ontario, GTA Ontario. Everything has turned around and coming up Ronan sort of back end of the season. But I found it interesting that even when he's got the best players, he puts in an incredible amount of effort to make sure that they are successful. He's not sort of just sticking teams together, but I thought that was quite impressive, because I know Hoodwink, you run a lot of friendlies as well, but if you look back at some of the ones that he did, it was absolutely absurd. Like just look at this. And it goes on and on. I played Naples there, but absolutely incredible. And it slowly, you could see as well, the results to start off with weren't that great, and then they slowly improved. And that's what we've seen, and sometimes hard work going in there, running a lot of friendlies. Yes, they're not unless you're running loads of them, they're not necessarily a great sign, but you can take different pointers from how friendlies go. And I think with things like heat maps and the stats and stuff like that, it's really interesting to sort of look into how the teams are doing and sort of tweaking tactics as the season goes on. But yeah. So Sid, I still think Sid's going to do well this season. I'm sure at the start of the season, I'm pretty sure he did say at the start of the season that just survival was the way he wanted to go. Pretty sure he can survive now. Really, really want Bob to survive. I know he brought in some absolute studs at sort of the mid-season break. I don't know whether they were sort of loans or a deal with the Dow, but he brought in Beckman, one of the absolute goats. The progression has been absurd if this ever wants to come up. Yeah, Beckman, 97 rated striker, 33 years old now. Just look at that progression. Absolutely bonkers. Eating his way through sort of legendary, got to epic, and he's still been working his way through. Just incredible. But yeah, so hopefully he helps you, Bob. I've got my fingers crossed for you, mate. Really want to see you stay up there, but as I'm sure you do. But yeah.
Imagine having a 97 rated striker.
That's a dream. Well, I've got Kurt Torres. Finally. Big Kurt. His progression has been slow, and one of Kev's players, I think we minted them very similar time, actually. He minted, is it Molitari or Molitani? Yeah. We both minted them at a very similar time. Both had I think he had a little bit more progression early, but Big Kurt, there was nothing. He was a young man, 22 years old, just praying, come on, man. Nothing. Finally got a little tickle there. Just one. And then last season he got 2, and this season he has turned into a legendary. Absolutely beautiful. So it's nice that he's becoming a bit more useful now, and Nightfall shooting, he's going to be the fulcrum of the attack, and hopefully he keeps on going. But yeah. Anything more to say on heat maps? Not really. No, I mean heat maps, aren't they? But I think they're an amazing addition to the team, to the product. And I just love about MFL, just the constant sort of evolutions and stuff like that. Just the little flags now and matches and stuff like that. I love being able to sort of go into games. You can instantly see sort of I don't know, I'm going to sit here because FC Cincinnati have absolutely thrown it, but you know, the little flags and stuff like that. It's just little fun additions, and they just keep churning them out. There's just always something new to talk about. You know, I think we all know that it sounds like the kit maker is incoming. They didn't say anything about it last week's dev update, but I suspect by the sound of it, it's ready to go for next season. Quinny, that seems like something you'll get involved with because you quite like sort of like, you know, immersing yourself in that. Do you think you'll be, putting a bit of time in to make sure you've got sweet kits for all your teams?
Definitely, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what features you can use with it. I think that was one of the good things about MFL when I first, came across it, was just how customizable like the actual teams were. You could make your own badge and name, and also now we can name our stadiums, which is cool. That's probably not really a commonly used feature, but I certainly play around with it. And yeah, kits will be no different for me. And I say, with how they really pushed the boat out on the aesthetics for the photo realistic stuff, and really everything they said around that time as well, in terms of what their long-term view is on developments they can make, I would be quite optimistic that the kit player, the kit customizer or whatever it's going to be, will have good variety in it, and it'll be good fun to mess around with for sure.
I think that, and I could be wrong here, I know Jimbo, who would normally be in the chat, I think he's on Love Duty, I'm pretty sure I remember him saying, and he's currently on holiday with the missus. But I'm pretty sure I remember him saying that there's going to be like a few templates to start with, but they obviously will be expanding it. But then colors is something where you can sort of go in, so you can choose a style, and then have the colors in. But I imagine, like, most things, once they've got it up and launched, it will progress and you'll be able to sort of adapt kits and have more variety and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's definitely going to be like a fun addition. Site redesign. Like, I've noticed a few funky things on the site recently, which makes me think that in the background there's a few things going on, and maybe the site design is the redesign is close. Obviously, we've got the new front page a couple of weeks ago, and I suspect the back end to that will be coming relatively soon. I don't know when. I thought it might come at the start of this season, but obviously it's a big deal sort of moving that around, and I'm sure there's a lot of things they want to do, but that would be quite good. What about sort of like blue sky thinking, Quinny? Like, is there something not in the game now that you would love to see in the game going forward?
I don't know. This is probably the most common question I get on podcasts and stuff like that. I'm not. I sometimes don't have that real like top-down view of like the game and what the next thing could be to kind of kick it on in that way. But one thing I was chatting about with the chat recently was extra time subs or extra time tactics or something like that. Because that's maybe a funny part with the gameplay mode in terms of like where you take it going forward. Because right now, so there's no interaction with the team, and I think because it's a network experience game, is the kind of words I put around it, makes it really hard to demand people to be there for the game to do stuff, at all times. Because if you own multiple clubs and days of the week and life and all the rest of it, of course, isn't probably quite practical. But there has to be some sort of development at some point in the game where you do a team talk, you have a sub prepared for some sort of eventuality. We go down to 10 men or something gets injuries. Obviously, they're not in the game yet. I don't know if that's a bad word around here. But, like if stuff like that happens, there's a contingency plans to come around it and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's like, this would really level the game up or anything, but it'll be interesting to see if and when any developments on that front come. And as I said, that was the thing we were chatting about in the chat. It's like extra time feels like a nice place, like you mentioned there, where the kits just slowly just try something, see if it works, develop and iterate from there. But extra time in cups feels like one where if you did want to play around with preset tactics or preset changes happening in the game depending on something else happening, that would be a nice place to maybe start, because it's not too widespread where it's game changing. It changes the meta for a season or whatever, but is also maybe not that too impactful on how it would have went otherwise. Because like if you're playing a game in the cup and it's going to go and it does go to extra time, and like 3 of your guys are on really low stamina anyway, you might know, right, well, just sub the 3 of them, one of them, whatever the rules would be for it. And maybe it's just something as basic as that perhaps, but so yeah, that's my answer.
I completely agree, and I think that is something that's potentially coming, isn't it? Like they've said that the predefined tactical changes have been possible within this engine for quite a while, and so it's something they can introduce, but they needed to work on the UI. Now I don't know whether that's something that like will come in fairly quickly, whether it's possible for next season, whether they can get the UI done in time for that. But yeah, there's so often in matches, like there was a game, I can't remember what it was, a week or so ago, I was 2-0 up, and I was thinking, right, brilliant, right. If I could make changes now, just shut it down, like because I knew the formation I was running at the time. I would just put everybody defensive, get everybody behind the ball. Maybe take a striker off, bring another defender on or something, and literally lock it down. And annoyingly, I conceded 2 goals later on and drew the game. And I'm not to say, you don't know if changes have been made, like maybe they would switch to attacking. So I think predefined changes are going to come in. I don't know whether subs will be possible. I imagine to start with, it'll be predefined tactical changes rather than subs, because subs is a little bit more difficult to do. But I think predefined tactical changes would be great. Like if you are 2-0 up after 60 minutes, move more players to defensive, or like to have these things. And if you are like behind, then do this and stuff like that. And I think those things would be a bit of help. But then if everybody's using them, then maybe there wouldn't be a help. Maybe it would just sort of balance out over time. But
Yeah. Fair.
difficult to know, isn't it? But it depends how many people use them. I imagine some people are just set and forget, and they just put them in, and this is my team, and if it wins, it wins. So but I would definitely make use of them. Hoodwink, what about you? Like, what sort of things would you love to see in the game that aren't necessarily there now?
Probably something like facilities and
Yeah.
whether that's like stadium expansions and coaching and youth academies and like stuff like that. That I suppose kind of more like Football Manager, really, I suppose. But that's the kind of stuff that I love kind of playing with, trying to develop not just like on the pitch stuff, but trying to take advantage of anything, like whether it's like you get more MFL if your stadium's got a higher capacity, or stuff like that. And then I know I've spoke before about like retired players, like when Timmy Vaughan retires, he could be my striker coach and stuff like that to get like maybe an extra 2-3 seasons of utility.
Timmy Vaughan, he'd be the boot boy, surely.
Aye. As soon as he retires, he's out. But stuff like that, I think, like off the pitch stuff, like commercial stuff, and
yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it, to sort of go an avenue? Because at the moment, it's very much centered on sort of like gameplay with, training. Obviously, by the sounds of something that Matt said on the AMA a little while ago, it sounds like they want to make training a little more immersive and stuff like that, which could be fun down the line. But yeah, like on the commercial side is an area that's sort of untapped at the moment. And literally the only thing you can do with the stadium is name it. And for the Monkey Matadors here, they play at the Bull Ring, obviously. But, being a Matador, you got to be in the Bull Ring. And all of my teams are sort of, follow like a similar sort of thing. So Monkey Vikings play at Thor's Garden. I just like having sort of like, and so often like you go into matches and it just says the Meta Stadium, and I'm like, oh, come on, name your stadium, man. But then like it doesn't show you how to do it. You have to go into info and scroll down, and it says stadium. So, but yeah. So if you haven't got your stadium name changed, go in there, change it. You just click in info, just here, go down, click on that, and it lets you change it. You don't have to put a bit of bio in. I have on a couple of teams, but just change it, make it something funny. But
from what Hoodwink said there, it gave me a great idea. And I don't know if anyone's brought this up, so sorry if I'm stealing it from someone who said that before. But how cool would it be if you could get scouts in the game, and now you're sending them to send them to like Flint 10 to 15, and like I want to find out, like focus on strikers, like any strikers in there that could be good for next year, and you get end of season like you do in Football Manager. You get the scout reports coming through, like, oh, I've noticed this guy, by the way, he scored a hat-trick at the weekend. Oh, he's great. Watch out for him.
I would love that. Yeah, maybe they have to be retired players, like retired players in your agency. You can assign them to become scouts. Like, so you can't just have scouts everywhere. And then, like, the better, obviously, they are. Like, if you've got a legendary retiring, then obviously, you know, he's
Then
potentially
they
going to
can
be a better.
scout that level.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can scout a league that they would have played in. Oh,
yeah.
that's a fun one.
I'm sending Timmy Vaughan to Estonia to scout.
I don't think I've heard that one, so maybe we'll call that your idea anyway, Quinny. If it happens, it's your idea.
Love it.
But yeah, no, I
Good
like
one,
that
Billy.
because there's so often I think, oh, like I look at the market and then I have to scroll through and then I want to look at progression. So you have to click through progression and every single player is just scrolling down. And don't get me wrong, I like doing it when I've got a bit of money to spend. I hate doing it when I haven't got any money to spend. But you know, it's fun to do. But it would be nice if there was a little pointer, like, you know, as you just said, like, you know, oh, so and so scored a hat trick and looks like a live wire. He would suit your system or something like that. Just little snippets that came in as part of like the game as the game week was rolling, you know, and you'd look at them and maybe sometimes you think, oh, he's old and dusty. No, he's not for me. But you know, just that little bit of coming in, yeah, just like that. I love the like the commercial stuff because you know, you said a while ago, Quinny, like you know, Football Manager. I played it when it was called Championship Manager, like the first ever version, and it came out, and I was addicted. And looking back now, it was just ridiculously simple. But even then, I could sit down and play it with my brother, and it would be like we sit down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon after school, and before you know it, it would be like 2 in the morning or something like that, and our parents would be screaming at us to go to bed. But you know, and it's exactly the same in my adult life. You know, I remember weekends, like when I was a single man, I'd sit down and like have some breakfast, wake up in the morning, think, I'll just play a couple of games on it. Before you know it, it's like 5 in the evening and you've not had any lunch. And that's the kind of immersion that Football Manager has. And MFL doesn't have that kind of immersion yet. But all of these things over time definitely will add to it. And I think like the game is just progressing at a lightning rate. And you know, I love the scouting idea, I love the sort of like the other idea. We had like Andy Official TV said, how would you guys feel if MFL partners with in real life clubs to drop their jerseys and stadiums like within the game? And I think that would be fun. Like it would be fun if like I'm sure Quinny, like one of your teams, if you could have a Celtic Park like mirror that was like a 3D generated mirror as your stadium and stuff like that. Some of your teams. I don't know how realistic it is, but it would be quite a fun thing to do.
Yeah, some sort of NFTification of some kind would be quite fun, I suppose.
I think MFL have tried to avoid sort of like
Yeah, I was
any
gonna
sort
say,
of IP stuff, haven't they? They own the IP for all of their players and stuff like that. And when you start like getting partners like that, it does become a bit more legally complicated. But
yeah, I was gonna say IRL does feel like it's kind of like not really on the same track as this because it is part of like we are making the metaverse football league, you know, the football universe that this lives within, you know, in terms of the clubs, what we call them, how we run them, and all that kind of thing. So to bring in like, or you can unlock a Athletic Bilbao kit or something like that, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it would be kind of cool, I suppose. But I think, you know, if you're thinking about outside integrations, like Sorare did quite well in the past with like the card design things where they used to do like other ones with like other NFT marketplaces or designers and digital artists and whatever. And, you know, they could do stuff like that for like cup designs every year, you know, or golden boot designs or a special preseason competition or whatever. So I think if you're looking for like external like crossover where it could happen, it would maybe be that kind of way where you do standalone competitions or items or somebody heavily influences like talking about stadium design or shirt design even. Maybe it's like in partnership with digital artists, digital something, blah, 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 whoever. And there's a bit of a twist on all the mechanics for it and that kind of regard. I don't know, whatever, you know. But I would see it being something closer to what could be seen as organic rather than a football thing.
yeah, definitely. I like, you know, I love the trophies and stuff like that. I would like to have like at the moment it's on your homepage. You have to scroll all the way across. I'd love to have like a sortable trophy room where you can go into and you can sort golden boots. And you can say, oh, like, you know, you can sort like who's won what within there, and you can, oh, I remember winning that there. Oh, the cup back then. It's a lot more difficult having to scroll through all of the things there, unless I'm being an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the more trophies you win, you know, I've got 7 teams now, so I do win a fair amount. So going back to season 1, the trophies continue to rack up. Jesus Christ.
Now you're just showing off.
Yeah, I didn't realise I had so many. I felt like a bit of a show off. But yeah.
What's in the trophies?
So the trophy room's for?
Yeah. I want a big trophy room, like, you can upgrade it and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we've covered quite a lot. I realise we've already been going on an hour and 20 minutes. But anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here for this week?
Yeah.
Cross your fingers for the cup runs.
Yes, yeah. When are it's not the cup today, is it? It's cup tomorrow. Is that right?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, today I've got a really important game for Monkey Magic, playing a team that is below me. So I can't afford to sort of throw this one away. I need to get a result in. If I can win that, then it's on to this tomorrow. But I don't know whether I've set my team. I need to have a look in a minute. I don't want to expose my tactics for my main teams. But yeah, it'd be interesting. So love to see what's going to... I don't know. I get nervous about the cup. I don't really get that nervous about the league, but the cup just feels different, especially when you're into the knockouts, because it just feels like, if I'm out, then I'm out for the season. Now, to do this again, I have to wait another month. Actually, it's probably another 6 weeks or something for that to happen. But what about you, Hubert? I don't think you mentioned the cup. Have you got any teams that are through?
Jimbo pumped my Livingston team. That was the last of them. Edinburgh never won a game in the group stage. I think Daegu won a couple, but I think we were a couple of points off. Then Livy done well in the group stage, but at the first knockout stage we got pumped to, I think. But then Jimbo won again, so hopefully he goes on to win it, and I've lost to the winners. But nah, Livy have done well. They've won the cup before as well, and they've usually done quite well in it. So they always get through the group stage at least, but never managed to win it again, sadly.
Nice. Hopefully next season. Anyway, as you said, Quinny, let's hopefully have a bit of cut success for the Barcelona faithful and for the Monkey Empire teams. But that would be nice end to the season. And obviously that extra bit of MFL will be lovely, because I definitely need more rare players this season. And feels like those are the ones that are sort of most useful in the game right now. But right, that's everything for this week. This week. Thanks for joining us, Quinny. Have you back on soon. Great to see you as always, Hoodwink. Hopefully see you next week. And that is everything. Bye.